Job chapter 32 and verse 9. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. All praise, honor, and glory is due to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the sincere brethren that's also laboring in his work. So yeah, the precept which I open up with, great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Which, by the way, that whole idea of aged in this precept is not dealing with on a physical level. It's not talking about a man of many years. This is dealing with the men that come into this truth as a babe, and they are nourished and they grow into the full perfection of these scriptures. That's what make them aged. But what I want to focus on is great men are not always wise. Meaning the man of the Lord is going to slip up, it's going to go off. All right? It's going to make decisions that's not becoming of a man of the Lord on the surface. And this is normal. All right? This is the conditions of the battle. Why? Because we're in this flesh. This is Jude, the 6th verse. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day. Yeah, and to the unlearned, they'll read this precept and they'll perceive it to be talking about, the angels that dwells in the heavens, all right, that rebelled against the Most High and it was cast into the underworld. Now they're reserved in some huge chains. No, this is dealing with the men, the very men that you see pushing out this word, all right? And those everlasting chains is symbolic to the flesh, this body. If you consider a person, and their arms and their hands is chained down, and they go to reach for a cup of water and they can't quite reach it, well, what's holding them back? Those chains. And it's not no different than the men of the Lord in the flesh. We strive and we reach to do the right things, but it's the flesh that holds us back. And there's a method to that, all right? The Apostle Paul made mention of the thorn being in his flesh. Why? To buffet him that he wouldn't be exalted above measure. Because really, at the end of the day, us having this knowledge is to glorify the Heavenly Father and his beloved Son, Yahweh Yahweh Shah. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 7. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels. Yeah, and that treasure is this knowledge. But the clause is we're going to have it in this earthen vessel, which is these bodies. And again, there's a method to that. And as you read on, it'll tell you that the excellency of the power may be of the Most High and not of us, right? So that's the method to why the Most High gave us this knowledge in this earthen vessel, so we wouldn't be celebrated, that the glory would go to him, that the excellency would be given to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah, all right? So for the brothers that slip up in this truth, you fall, you got to understand that that's a part of it, man. That you in this flesh. The spirit war with the flesh. And it's like you fighting against the flesh in his own backyard. It's like you fighting the flesh on his own home turf. Because this society, this system, which was set up by Esau, the devil, the wicked, is pretty much set up to please the flesh. So you're going to go off more times than not. Nevertheless, when you go off, you got to realize that that's a part of it, man. And you got to keep fighting. You can't let that, be the reason for you to fall off, fall away, fall from your hope. Matter of fact, let me get that. Ecclesiasticus, the 14th chapter, start at the first verse. Blessed is the man that have not slipped with his mouth. Yeah, and this means not pushing out wayward doctrines and heresies. Not teaching that Babylon the Great is Vatican City, the earth is flat. Not all Edomites will be destroyed. The RFID technology is not the mark of the beast. This is a man who slipped with his mouth. It said, and is not pricked with the multitude of sins. Blessed is he whose conscience have not condemned him, and who is not fallen from his hope in the Lord. Right, so we're going to fall, but you can't fall from your hope in the Lord. Meaning when you fall, You can't just waddle. You got to get back up. All right? This is Proverbs 24:16. A just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. And that's the point. You got to be able to recognize the fact that you're going to fall, but you got to get back up, man. And that key word there is just. A just man falleth 7 times, man. So for anybody out there, who subscribe to the teachings of Great Millstone, and you perceive us to be, some perfect men, we never go off, we keep the laws perfectly. Well, you got to understand, we fall, man, but we get back up. A just man falleth 7 times, but he riseth up again, man. And 7 is symbolic to completion. So we're going to completely fall. We're going to go off all the time. All right? The mere fact that you're wearing mixed garments, mixed fabrics, should I say, you're going off. All right? Then there's more egregious times than that. Even when you consider we know and we recognize the Sabbath, but being in this society, Esau, who pretty much set traps for us to go off, they don't honor the Sabbath. So the Sabbath will fall on a day that you got to work. But should you waddle in that and just beat yourself up? I'm not a man of the Lord. The Lord not dealing with me. No, man, you got to get back up and understand that we going to fall. And it's actually a method to that. And the Lord is perfect. The Lord wrote this movie, man. That's why the Apostle Paul, the Apostle Paul, when he spoke about that body, he said, who would deliver me from this body of sin? He went on to say Yahweh Shah, which that nomen omen means he who delivers, man. That's the role of Yahweh Shah in this movie. And our role is to be the damsel in distress. So we're going to have to be saved, meaning we're going to fall. We're going to go off. All right? Now, when you consider our forefathers and the great men before us, they went off as well. And I want to get an example of a great man, should I say, who wasn't always wise. This is 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah, but David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? So David inquired of a woman, and he was briefed, all right? The reports came back that this woman was married. She was the wife of Uriah, man, the Hittite. Verse 4, and David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. Yes, so David, knowing that this woman was married, he went on to commit adultery, man. So this is an example of a great man. We know David is a great man, all right, King David. But he wasn't always wise. And this is proof of that. He made a decision that wasn't becoming of a man of the Lord on the surface. All right? But the scriptures tell you there's no condemnation to those who are in Yahweh Shah, which David was in Yahweh Shah. Now, you can go on and read the story, the rest of the story for yourself, how this one sin, it actually built up into more transgression. David, pretty much sent Uriah out to the front lines that he might be put to death so he could take Bathsheba for himself. But I want to jump to the last verse before I close out. It says, and when the morning was past, matter of fact, let me start at the 26th verse. It says, and when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the morning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. So yeah, David, although he's a great king, and in the kingdom he's going to be a great king, and he received the sure mercies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, he did something that displeased the Lord, man. That's the balance, all right? So again, great men are not always wise. And that's even here at Great Millstone, from the head down to the bottom and everybody in between. We don't always do the things that's convenient to a man of the Lord. Why? Again, it's this flesh, man. Which again, it's a method to us being in the flesh, so that we won't be celebrated, man, and that the glory will go to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. All right. Yeah. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. Double honors to the head apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and shalom to you sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in his work. Till the next time I say shalom.